Welcome to Movie Postmortem, where we dissect films of all kinds, whether they're good, bad, or those guilty pleasures we just can't quit. I'm Reggie Hill, and I'm joined by my nephew Isaiah Brown. Together, we're here to examine what worked, what didn't, and why we keep coming back for more. So grab your popcorn because no movie is safe from the scalpel on Movie Postmortem. Hello, everybody. Thanks for joining us. On today's episode, we will be covering Bumblebee, the 2018 Transformers reboot slash prequel film. The logline of the film: on the run from a war on Cybertron, Bumblebee finds friendship, purpose, and a home in 1987 California. So this film was my choice this week. I kept thinking about doing Steven Spielberg for a theme for the month of June, and we didn't do that, although we covered Hook last week. So Bumblebee is a film that is not directed by Steven Spielberg. It's directed by
Yeah,
Travis Knight. And
I
it
was Gary
feels
say
like a film that could be if Steven Spielberg directed a Transformers film in the 80s.
exactly, which is so weird because I the Spielberg just like DNA is there. So you just have a movie that's just like, man, so Spielberg coded, but not even by him.
Yes, and it's interesting when you look at Travis's career. He started as a producer, and he was producer for Paranorman, The Box Troll, Cuba and the Two Strings, Missing Link, and he didn't start directing until Cuba and the Two Strings, which was a movie that was very well received, good film.
Yeah, I
And
liked it.
yeah, Bumblebee was the second film he directed, and another reason this film was top of mind for me was that Travis Knight also directed Masters of the Universe, the He-Man film, which just came out in theaters this past weekend.
Which is so funny how we keep coming full circle to just what is recently in theaters that I won't watch, but he will.
Yes, if I didn't have AMC A-list and could literally walk to a theater, I would not watch most movies in the theater. They're just simply not worth the price.
Yeah, it got to the point where he told me the story to where he would just stop going to the theaters after a while because the food got too expensive.
Yeah, I don't need to pay that much for a hot dog.
It's still one of the funniest things ever to me. Do you feel like telling that story right now before we get into this?
Yes, part of what I liked about going to the movies was it's just part of a routine for me. So I would go to the movie theaters, get two hot dogs and a drink. I'm actually not big of a movie theater popcorn person. And as I was doing this over the years, I realized one thing first. I'm actually going to the movies just to eat dinner rather than actually care about what I'm watching.
Yeah, I was going to say, you could have just picked up the hot dog and then left.
Yeah. But the second thing was, wow, the prices are really creeping up for this. So it's not worth it to buy, two hot dogs and a drink, and it's going to cost like $25 or something.
Yeah.
So I just stopped going to the movies so often because I'm like, yeah, you know what? I don't need to just go to the movies just to get a hot dog at these prices, especially.
Yeah, at that point, I'll just look up how the movie theater does their hot dogs and maybe just buy them in the store.
So that was the reason that I picked Bumblebee. This is a film that I've seen a few times. I would say this is probably the third time I've seen it. And I really remember liking it. But yeah, so this film set in 1987 is a prequel to the events of the Michael Bay Transformers film. And
Maybe we'll
maybe,
get
so
there.
yeah. So let's share our overall impression of the film. So I'll let you start.
Yes, I think I will. Firstly, that first Bayformers movie, that was my first introduction to Transformers, at least my most primary one. And so that film was my childhood. And very recently, I would say in the past like 3 years, me and my friends, we suffered through the continuous downward spiral of the Bayformers movies up until the last night. And so, when we finally got to Bumblebee, we were pleasantly surprised. Like, man, we're watching a Bayformers movie, quote unquote, and we're actually having fun. Though, it made me sort of enjoy this movie less because they tried to link it to the previous movies, even though they didn't even need to. And even further, I just like I just like the movie after this one even more than I do this one. I found that one to be more fun than Bumblebee. So, opening this up, ladies and gentlemen, this is going to be a 3 out of 5 for me. I apologize, but I'm a complex person. Sue me.
Yeah, I think that's fair and about where fall on this film. When I first saw this, I was pleasantly surprised. This is a film that is clearly focusing on story more than spectacular action. It's a much more grounded story. It's a very small story. And that's what I really liked about it. I feel that one of the things that we always connect back to Steven Spielberg and the advice that Michael Bay said that Steven Spielberg gave him about his Transformers film was to remember at its heart, this is a film about a boy in his car. And that's essentially what they're doing here with Bumblebee. This is a story about a girl and her friend who happens to be a car.
I,
And I think
yeah,
that kind of grounding of the story works. It's a very sweet story. I think it's one that capitalizes on the 80s nostalgia without overdoing it. But oddly enough, this is a film that I remember feeling that it was emotionally very effective before when I watched it, especially because of Hailee Steinfeld and her acting. But this time rewatching it, I just wasn't moved by it. And a lot of the actual plot holes and some of the things that were problematic about the film stood out to me even more. And these were things that I had acknowledged the first time I watched it, but I just wasn't moved by it for some reason this time. And so that really drove my score, at least my initial score, down some. So, although I do think that this is far better than like the last three films that Michael Bay actually directed, my score for this one will be a 3 out of 5 stars.
that's very interesting that you say that because I feel like that's actually a very interesting talking point right there. Just saying like, oh, after I watch this again, I wasn't really moved after this. How about we just do a little thinking exercise? Think about how many more even like bigger emotional movies have come out since then. Again, as I keep saying multiple times because it's so funny, you cried during the recording of Sonic 3.
Yeah, and so that's where this film just doesn't really have that kind of energy or effectiveness anymore. And so I just felt like, oh, wow, that's interesting. This didn't do anything this time. So it's just, it is what it is. So to get into the main cast of the film, as I mentioned, Haley Steinfeld is playing Charlie Watson, our protagonist. John Cena is playing Agent Burns. Jorge Lindenberg is playing Memo, a friend of Charlie's. And Charlie's parents are played by Pamela Andelon and Steven Schneider. In terms of the voice cast, we have a few people doing voices, some of which you
Oh,
may
dude.
recognize, some people you don't.
Eric Cullen, obviously you recognize him. What I was most like stunned like by was the fact that I didn't notice this the first time we watched it. Angela Bassett's one of the Decepticons.
Oh, yes, I recognize that the first. I think she has a very distinct voice to me. So she plays Shatter. Justin Theroux plays Dropkick. So I don't want to try to give a full plot rundown of this film. I'll just talk
I
about
mean,
the
yeah,
opening.
yeah, we could, but it's not worth it. We got other things we want to do with our day. This isn't gonna be another Moonfall where we just describe the plot for 2 episodes straight.
Yes, exactly.
Maybe
The,
one day we'll get there again.
the film opens on Cybertron in the middle of a war. And what we see is the Autobots are losing because don't they always lose?
I mean, we wouldn't have a story if they won immediately, would we?
So we see the Decepticons have the Autobots on their heels, and they realize they have to flee Cybertron. And Optimus Prime tells Bumblebee to go to Earth, this planet that he's found is hidden. And Bumblebee's job is to set up a base there and protect the planet until they can all regroup. So Bumblebee is separated from the rest of his Autobot companions, and he crashes on Earth. He happens to crash in the middle of a military exercise. And this immediately puts the military in pursuit of him. One of the Decepticons actually follows him as well. During this skirmish, Bumblebee is taking all kinds of gunfire and fighting this Decepticon. He gets his voice module ripped out, and he takes so much damage that he has a memory core leak essentially. So he has to shut down after assuming a form that'll allow him to hide on Earth, that of a Volkswagen Beetle. And this is where the film starts off. And this will be the
Hmm.
journey of Bumblebee trying to complete his mission while also maybe not even remembering what his mission is to begin with because of the damage
Hmm.
he's taken.
I wonder where I've seen this before.
Exactly.
I'm not even gonna try to hide in how I feel about that. Again, one of the biggest like issues I've had with this movie for a while now, my little lingering beef with this movie is the fact that this is essentially just the Iron Giant, but with Transformers. And as you, my co-host, have so wisely mentioned over the past years, is that original ideas don't really exist anymore. So can I even really be that upset about this?
Yeah. I don't feel it's something that we can ignore because the filmmakers don't ignore it. They acknowledge, yes, this is the Iron Giant. That's what inspired us to make the film this way. So if you've seen the Iron Giant, you know what you're going to get essentially from this film. And as
Yeah,
you
it just got so shameless to the point where they literally had that same Iron Giant moment there, at like the climax of the movie, where Bumblebee's eyes literally go red and he's just slaughtering people.
yeah,
It was the
his
exact same
his
moment.
arm turns into a gun, and it's like, oh, the thing that was so meek and friendly before, now it's in war machine mode, and I have to talk it down to remember you're friendly, don't do this. Yes, they're copying beat for beat in some cases the Iron Giant.
Again, is this worth me being upset about? Yes, because I'm upset about it. So
So
I made
yes,
myself laugh during that.
so yes, that is what the story is. A lonely kid befriends a strange visitor from another world. That's what a lot of the 80s films were about. And coming back to Steven Spielberg again, that's E.T. And
Yeah.
so with that said, let's dive into our causes of celebration. So I'll let you start.
Okay, we'll do that. Okay. Woo! Woohoo! Yay. This is actually a very big positive to actually give for this movie. And what's most unfortunate is that this is a double-edged cause of celebration because it's only there for about 10 minutes of this entire movie. But ever since I was 16, I've wanted to see just in the Bayformer style of just like CG, that war on Cybertron. That's what I've wanted to see for a long time. And we actually get that in this movie for about 10 minutes, but it's still there. So I'm happy it's there.
Yes, that's the thing that I felt about the opening scene. It was like a reward to fans who had waited so long to see something like that. The thing that I really liked about this opening scene is that we can easily recognize all of our favorite G1 Transformers because the robot designs look a lot cleaner. And I'll round that into my cause of celebration because I think the biggest problem I always had with the Michael Bay Transformer films were that they were too metallic, too sharp, and it was too hard to distinguish what each individual character design was supposed to be.
Yeah.
So
I
when we
still
see,
defend that for the most part, but I still understand why people say that. You especially, because what's that thing you always say? Oh, a kid should be able to look at this thing and then draw a picture that's close enough. That's not gonna be good enough because it's a kid drawing it, but it should be close enough still.
I should be able to recognize it, yes. And that's one of the things that I noticed. You can see Shockwave and Soundwave and Prime and Bumblebee, and you can distinguish them because they are not so gray metal anymore with color trim. They are actually full colors most of the time. So, outside of the character design for my first cause of celebration, I want to talk a little bit specifically about how the animation and CGI of Bumblebee actually make him such a strong character in this. Because I think that's the biggest strength in the movie is just Bumblebee. His design is a lot more expressive in this film. As I said a
Yeah.
few minutes ago, he has rounder shapes instead of sharp edges.
Yeah, but that's the weirdest thing I actually even noticed in this rewatch. He still has the exact same face, but somehow it looks more expressive.
Yes. And I think that's because they use a lot more of the basic animation tricks that people would do to make you understand what a character is feeling, especially because he can't speak. So he always has his shoulders hunched. He's got his head and neck lowered. He's like in defensive posture. He's got his arms raised and his eyebrows just looking so like afraid all the time. Really helps you understand that he's afraid because that's what he is most of the time. He's just cowering. He's afraid of Charlie, even though he's 10 times as big as she is. So I think they did a really good job with that design to make him seem less like a war machine and more like a scared kid who's trapped in a giant robot body. And that's why the film works because we have to be able to care about him the way we would care about a fuzzy little cuddly alien or something.
Which is painfully ironic, isn't it?
Yes. And speaking of that, I love the fact that finally he gets to be a Volkswagen Beetle. That was the Bumblebee I grew up on. I understand Michael Bay's logic of saying people wouldn't like that for his film. He didn't want people to compare him to Herbie the Love Bug. But for me, Bumblebee was always a beetle. So I love the fact that he's a beetle in this film.
That just goes back to the same philosophy that we always have about adaptations. Like the things we hold most dear to our hearts are usually inherently silly, right? Because like I'm a guy that was bit by a radioactive spider, and now I shoot through New York City as a giant Spider-Man costume dude. Or just like I'm a moisture farmer on a planet that's all entirely desert for some reason. But it doesn't really matter how silly the source material is because these stories they move us. They make us feel things. They make us feel happy, sad, sorrow, glee. It doesn't matter how silly it is. What matters is what do we do with it, right?
Yes. And so don't shy away from the silliness. So yeah, I like the fact that he was actually a Volkswagen Beetle again. And part of it is because those were such distinct cars and I really liked them. Like I remember one of our family members had one. It was like, oh, there's a little Beetle. It was just a cute little car. So
Oh yeah, when you probably wouldn't catch me driving one, but
yeah, they made a comeback like this probably like 15 years ago at this point. But for a little while they were trying to come back. So
I I have no confidence in driving a car that small.
yeah, yeah, I see those little tiny cars on the road. I'm like, ooh, okay. Yeah. So yes, the not just the CGI, but more importantly, the character designs is what I really liked, and how they made Bumblebee feel like a real timid person, even though he's a giant robot.
I did enjoy the girl's like journey through this movie, right?
Hmm.
So much so that I forgot her name.
Charlie.
Charlie, that's it. Thank you.
Hailee Steinfeld, I think is really good. I remember seeing her long time ago in some of her performances from when she was younger, like True Grit. She makes Charlie a very relatable, likable, and grounded character. Because let's be honest, this was going to be a different role for a Transformers film. In the past, the female co-lead was Megan Fox. After Megan Fox was no longer in the films, then they had a revolving door of eye candy women to be love interests or tag-alongs for Sam Witwicky.
Or Mark Wahlberg, the
Yes,
inventor.
yeah, yeah, I forgot. Yeah, the inventor. Yes.
Oh boy.
So this was going to be a woman as a protagonist and one who had to be able to not just follow the mold of, okay, what Victoria's Secret model do we want to put into this? That's not to say that Hailee Steinfeld is unattractive, but
I was gonna say, why would you do that again? Because that sounds odd how you were saying
yeah,
it.
not to say that at all. But I feel like what she does really well is be relatable. She does a great job of portraying ordinary people in extraordinary circumstances.
I will say, I do love Shatter and Dropkick. I want to say they're my favorite Transformers or my favorite Decepticons. They're my favorite Decepticons in the Bayformers franchise. That's what I'll say. Because besides Megatron in like the first two movies, these two are like the only ones that really have personality instead of just being generic monsters.
Yes. And that's the thing that I feel this film did better than any of the others, which is surprising and shocking because these are triple changers. And I'd argue that there's no need for them to be triple changers because it doesn't really
Well,
play a role
yes,
in the
there
story.
is because it's cool.
Yeah, because it's cool.
You take that back.
But they have personalities. And that's one of the things I'm glad you brought up. I love the fact that Dropkick loves turning humans into goo. We see him do this multiple times.
Which I'm almost positive that he turns them into just generic goo just to avoid the M
Oh,
rating.
yes.
There should
No.
be red in that goo there.
And he loves being violent. When poor Cliff Jumper gets executed by him, he cuts Cliff Jumper in half, straight down the middle. And you get the idea that he's only being restrained occasionally by Shatter because she's the one who just takes his leash off at times and says, okay, do your
Yeah,
thing.
yeah, because she's the deceptive one.
Yes.
I love that line where Jossie is like, "They're called Decepticons."
Why are we trusting them?
Yeah,
So
but
yes, that's why I feel that was actually cause of celebration for me.
oh yeah,
Even though we
absolutely.
have more iconic Decepticons early in the film, Shatter and Dropkick are very effective villains. They are immediately threatening. We see them kill an Autobot. We see them kill two humans. They're competent. Their plan actually works. There's no bumbling around. And I think that that's one of the things that really separates them from the comic relief interactions that the Decepticons had in the Michael Bay films.
Yeah, don't talk to me about Age of Extinction and then onwards. I'm not even gonna have a discussion with you about that. Those foolish, stupid Decepticon fugitives that were freed in that movie. they died the moment they showed up. So don't even at me.
Yes.
But there's one thing that happened with Shatter that I just found absolutely hilarious. It was I think it was that scene where she was starting to trick the U.S. Army, and then you get like a close up of her face. Even though her face is like very like alien robotic, it kind of looked like she was about to do like a Grinch smile.
Yes, exactly. I know exactly the scene you're talking about. She had like a smirk on her face. You could imagine, yes, that metal was about to smile.
Like it was hilarious.
She's totally placating the humans. They're
Yeah, because
actually very effective. I would argue that these are probably more effective Decepticons than we've ever seen, considering the fact that they apparently, in this timeline, invented the internet for us.
yeah, it's I kind of want to see them do more things. I just want to see them be again Decepticons with actual like personality in the Bayformers movies. I got one more. I have a mini cause of celebration before you move on.
Okay.
It's barely even worth it, but I just want to ring this bell here because I still find this to be great and I love it. Here's Isaiah's little mini cause of celebration. We have young Simmons, baby.
Yes, I knew
He's
you would bring
here
that up.
again. My favorite character for the Bayformers movies, and the guy that should have been the protagonist. He's here for about a few minutes, but the fact that he's even here, I love it. So fight me. I don't care. I love Simmons.
Yeah, I really did like that they included Simmons. I wouldn't have minded that he had been a bigger character. I'll say that now before we even get to the script stitch-up stage.
Oh, absolutely. It's just again, it's so hard not to just go back to the Bayformers movie when Simmons is right here.
Yes. So my last cause of celebration, and I'll group several things together. I think this movie has humor that really works and still really gets a chuckle out of me. And some examples of that are when Agent Burns, this is John Cena's character, is talking to Ron, Charlie's father, about what, she's gotten into all this trouble. Ron is saying, like, oh, these kids are going through trouble. And, I had troubled times when I was a kid. I stole a box of Malamars back then. And Agent Burns says, yes, we know.
Even though I laughed at that, I was just sitting there thinking, like, why do you care?
But it's honestly the way that John Cena sells that delivery. Like, yes, we know. Like, yeah, we haven't forgotten about you. That's in your file.
Yeah, exactly. I do say his character. I don't know if I consider it a celebration, but he's there because he's funny, right? Because he's both has that John Cena DNA, but he's also very stoic and like still has that
Yes.
same nature about him.
I won't, and I'll get back to my humor, but I don't list him as a sole cause of celebration because I felt they were not really sure which direction they wanted his character to go.
That's fair. That's very evident in the very opening scene where he's in.
Yeah, so it was like, okay, he's humorous, but then he's very serious, or is he a villain? And I understand he has an arc, but it was like they didn't really commit to him being one character. It felt like there were different drafts of a character here.
Yeah, that's the strange thing because, like, again, they showed that he could be humorous. He could joke around with his comrades, but then maybe it's because they died. But we
Yeah.
never see him be like jokey ever again.
Yes, but that line I really liked. There was one line that always makes me smile is when Charlie is leaving Bumblebee, he's in his car form. She's got to go to work for the day, and she has a Pop-Tart, and she leaves it on him, and she says, "You can have my Pop-Tart." Like, I think maybe she thought, like, maybe he's gonna eat it. I don't know, but anyway, it's a good gesture. Take
I
my
mean,
Pop-Tart.
I mean, her defense. How do they refuel themselves?
Yeah. So I just really like that. I love the fact that we see twice in this film that people's attempts to help Charlie in her quest don't work in very funny ways. Her little brother Otis, he needs her to do the little brother thing and keep a watch out. I'm going to sneak out the house. So make sure mom and dad don't find me, or mom and mom's new boyfriend don't find me. And Otis like, yeah, I got this. You see Otis try to do it, and the parents immediately realize he's lied. Like, this little kid can't trick parents. In the same way, when her friend slash romantic interest Memo, he's going to hold off the security forces so that he could buy Charlie some more time, and they just go right by him. He's like, "Yep, that didn't work."
Little main nitpick here. Again, it's a funny joke and it's a good joke there, but because of that joke, he just does nothing else for the rest of the movie.
But yeah, the other humor really involved Bumblebee. Bumblebee learning to speak, Bumblebee learning to hide, Bumblebee getting into some antics, destroying a bully's car. So yes, I felt for the most part a lot of the humor came from Bumblebee's personality because he's gotta be a lot younger, more childlike, more innocent in this film. So I like that they had personality coming from that rather than gross out moments. Okay, so with that, we'll take a quick break and then we'll come back with our causes of death. Do you love movie theater hot dogs? That unique flavor, that unmistakable texture, that lingering question of how long they've been sitting there? Now you can enjoy the magic at home with Cinema Dogs, the first hot dog specifically designed to recreate that authentic movie theater experience. Each cinema dog is made from premium ingredients and carefully prepared according to traditional theater standards. Just follow our simple cooking instructions. Step 1, cook thoroughly. Step 2, place under a warming lamp for 3 to 5 hours. Step 3, forget about it. Step 4, charge yourself $8.75 whenever you want to eat it. Use promo code POSTMORTEM for a free theater heat lamp so you can safely age your hot dog from the comfort of your own kitchen. Cinema Dogs, the convenience of home with the quality of a theater concession stand. Okay, and we're back. So now let's dive into our causes of death. I'll let you start.
Here's my first cause of death. This was a problem that started in the first Bayformers movies. I am so sick of the U.S. military hunting down Autobots. I am so sick of it.
Yes, they don't try at all with the story. So it's really redoing the same arcs we've already seen, but was essentially a story about Charlie and Bumblebee.
Yeah.
So they didn't actually need the military involvement. And that's where I really felt this should be a story about Bumblebee versus Shatter and Dropkick without the US military being involved at all.
Yeah, it's just that's what happens when you rip Iron Giant.
Yes, you could see the scenes where they gotta have the scene where the military gets involved so Bumblebee can go into warrior mode. But I felt there were better ways to do that rather than just copying it and interjecting this military plot in yet again for like the sixth time, maybe literally, in
Oh,
these films.
absolutely. It's just if you're cool with it, that's fine. But being me, the person that had to suffer through those first five movies, I cannot, in good confidence, call this anything but a cause of death.
So, tied into that, my first cause of death is how this film actually ends. And we've alluded to this a little bit earlier.
Oh, dude.
This film is trying to walk a very fine line between being a reboot and a prequel. And because it doesn't commit, it fails at both, in my opinion.
What's the thing we usually say? When you try to go halvesies, you usually fail miserably.
Yep. They have to come up with a reason why we never see Charlie again and where our character Bumblebee has to end up in the exact same position he's in at the beginning of the Michael Bay Transformers.
Oh,
I
dude.
think committing to that was a huge mistake.
Dude, this movie would have been so much better if it was just its own thing.
Yes.
And it's not. And
Yes, so it's just afraid of standing on its own. And to me, that's a problem because the very end doesn't make sense to me.
yeah,
And this will,
because with what was set up during the entire movie, it will make more sense for B to just change his disguise and then just stay with Charlie because we don't.
yes,
That stitch up right there.
yes, so that was my thing. This movie does not establish why Charlie and B separate.
They tried to connect it to the previous Bayformers movies and then create big plot holes with their own source material.
Yes,
The ending does like so many things wrong. So let me just list them right here. For those of you that probably haven't watched the first Bayformers movie, here's how this works, right? Sam Witwicky, he just happened to find Bumblebee at a car dealership. B, at that point, is the only Autobot on Earth. And so we have a very gorgeous scene where Optimus Prime and the rest of the Autobots fall down from the heavens like angels. And Bumblebee, Optimus Prime is just already here for some reason.
exactly.
So again, what?
So having the Autobot seemingly there in 1987 but not doing anything for 20 years and then leaving and then Bumblebee also still being there by himself, it doesn't make any sense.
The only thing that you could say to make that make sense is they were there, but then they left, only to come back again when they
Yeah.
found Sam, which again makes no sense.
So the easier thing would be simply to leave it open-ended with Charlie and B still together. But the biggest thing I didn't believe is I didn't believe that Charlie wouldn't go with him.
Yeah, that's another cause of death right there. Hey, Charlie, I'm sorry, but your family sucks.
The way the film was written, she was ready to leave. She
He
had even told
was.
her mom, like, you don't have to worry about me much longer. And so for her at the end to be like, I can't go with you, I got stuff here that I have to stay for. I was like, what?
You do?
It was clearly written as like, okay, this is the only movie that's going to star you as our protagonist, so we got to make up a reason why you just didn't go with
Yeah.
Bumblebee. Even if we never came back to that, we could be like, oh, well, it'd be interesting to see the story of what happened. Why did Charlie and B eventually separate? But it leaves it more open-ended rather than creating plot holes and timeline issues because you did something that makes no sense next. And that's the funny thing. It's not even contradicting the later films, it's contradicting the first film.
The literal first movie. The whole reason why we even have this freaking franchise.
So that ending just didn't make any sense to me. So that ending, and that's funny. I have multiple ending causes of death. So just that Bumblebee and Charlie ending is my first cause of death.
Yeah, so here's the thing. This is where this gets really bad. Once Sharon's dropkick are defeated and the day is saved, everything drops this movie from like a 4 out of 5 to a 3 out of 5.
I agree, especially at the point that you made that cutoff. After Shatter and Dropkick are actually destroyed, what happens next? We see Charlie up on the crane where she had to take down the communication device. She sees that Bumblebee is underwater and she has to muster the courage to make the dive from the crane into the water. We've been building up her being afraid to dive since her father passed away. She has diving medals. She was going to go to the Olympics. So she makes this big dive into the water. And then what does she do? Absolutely nothing. Because
Because what do you do in that situation?
there was no reason for her to do anything there because it's not like Bumblebee is trapped. He's just underwater. So he sees her and smiles with his eyes, and they float up to the surface together.
Because
I,
again, when Bumblebee's underwater, she can help him.
yeah.
He has, from what I understand, Autobots can't drown, so he would just woke up eventually, right?
There are so many scenes in G1 Transformers of them having battles underwater.
Exactly. So, uh, uh,
The whole cliff diving stuff was built up for so much of the film.
only for it to mean almost nothing.
I wouldn't
Because,
say
but
almost.
that's the thing. I say almost nothing because it's invalidated because Bumblebee leaves.
Yeah. I say I take away almost because it literally didn't change anything. It wasn't like she had to free him, which would have been unbelievable. Like, oh, she had to pull some big piece of rebar off of him so he could escape. It's not even that. She literally sees him, he opens his eyes, and then they float to the surface. She didn't do anything. She didn't have to press a button or anything while she was underwater. So it was like, what was the whole point of building that up?
It's just, all right. Again, what happened at the end of this script?
And that's where there is one last thing at the end, which was another cause of death for me. It actually wasn't just the end. So throughout the film, we've only talked about him a couple of times. There's a guy who works
Oh, I
near,
wasn't even going to talk about him.
yeah, there's a guy who works near where Charlie works. I love that she works at Hot Dog on a Stick. That's such an 80s thing. And his name is Memo. He's got a crush on her. I get the idea they've never literally spoken before. And
And you know what? I give him points for persistence, I guess.
yeah, he was persistent. He eventually walks over to her garage to ask her out one night, and
Just
he,
walks in her house.
yeah, completely unannounced. He sees Bumblebee, so he gets included in the adventures. And part of me wants to give credit. I'm not going to be a hypocrite. A lot of times you've heard us say that we appreciate when films don't push every male female interaction as a relationship.
Yeah, but that's also the weird thing. The movie's trying to be like, hey, this relationship is kind of budding right now, so we're not really going to overly commit to this. But I'm probably going to take over your words here, but with the fact that they don't do anything with him.
Yes, that's it exactly. It is because it's caught between friendship and romance, but it doesn't commit to either. So then it just seems really awkward, and it ties into what I said earlier. I don't understand if this is one of the reasons that Charlie is staying because they seem to make it very clear at the end that because she's even weirded out by them attempting to hold hands. Like, okay, I'm not there yet. So part of me feels like just make the guy either an actual romantic interest for her or make him just a friend.
Yeah, but you want to know what's so really disappointing about this? It's the fact that this relationship is this relationship is worse than Sam Witwicky and Michaela's in the first movie because at least Megan Fox did something.
Yes. And I feel like that's the problem you brought up earlier. Memo doesn't actually do anything. He tries to stop the military security and they drive right past him.
Yeah, because you're
He
just a stupid kid just standing there.
he's being taken on the journey with Bumblebee and Charlie just because he knows about it. But part of me also felt even if this guy knows the secret because they weren't in any type of established friendship before, I didn't believe that Charlie would even tolerate his presence. So it was just too new of a friendship even to be like, wow, this is somebody that you trust with a secret. It should have been, oh, this is Memo, my best friend, rather than this is the guy who I literally walked past, don't even know his name, and he figured out this. So yeah, you're included on the adventure now.
I think it just lingers back to the whole problem that even started with him being included in the group to begin with. Memo, wait, what, is that his actual name?
That's his
Memo?
actual character's name is Memo.
Lord have mercy. Okay. This just links back to the fact that Memo is only even a character in this story by sheer coincidence. He never moves past that.
Yes. Honestly, this is the type of character, and here's a script stitch up for you. Memo is a character who he stumbles in the garage, he sees Bumblebee, he passes out. The next day, Charlie's like, "Oh yeah, you must have hit your head or you drank something," ha, 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 and they never talk about it again. You never see that character. That's how
Wait,
incidental he is to the story.
well, I was gonna say, is that just like a is that a script stitch up or is that just like an AU?
Yeah, that's the script stitch up.
Because I'm so sick of seeing that. Oh, see some shocking passes out. I'm sick of seeing those.
Yeah, my actual script stitch up would be to make him either her best friend or actually make them a couple. Because at least them being a couple would mean that she does have a reason to stay. Part of me
Yeah,
kept feeling, why wouldn't she leave with Bumblebee?
because again, that's the weird thing there. Because again, they had that little scene there where she kisses him on the cheek, and he's like, "Oh, we just kissed." And she's like on the cheek, but then she's weirded out by hand holding. So it's just like, what is this relationship supposed to be? And are we supposed to care about Memo?
Yeah, because she does it. So, yeah, that's where all of this is part of the big cause of death that I have because that emotional ending between Charlie and Bumblebee, and she's doing a great job acting it. But just on this rewatch, I just felt like, yeah, this doesn't make any sense because I felt that her character didn't have the established relationships or agency in anything to not go with Bumblebee. I feel when Bumblebee opened that door, she would hop inside, and the movie ends with them riding off on the bridge without Optimus Prime being there.
Yeah, hi ho, silver away.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sorry to tell you this, sports fans, but for how much credit we gave Charlie and her story, it's never going to measure up to that war on Cybertron that we saw in legitimately the first 5 minutes. I am sorry, but it just won't.
Imagine if in E.T. opened with a war going on E.T.'s home planet.
So I was like, wait, what happened there? I want to see the rest of this, right?
And then it cuts to Elliot fighting E.T. on Earth. You're like, wait a minute, you started off with something far more interesting. And one last thing to harp on. So we see Charlie early in the film. She's a good mechanic. She's smart. She's very capable. And at the end of the film, Bumblebee has been killed, seemingly in a non-violent fashion, for a guy who loves killing robots very violently. He wasn't destroyed or cut in half this time by the Decepticon, but he's dead. You know, this is the moment we have to have, like we see in E.T. and Iron Giant. And Charlie has to bring Bumblebee back to life. She's like, I can fix you. I can save you. And then she proceeds to just essentially shock him with these electric
Just
guns she finds
kind of
around.
just kind of trying to defibrillate him with the electric guns, which okay.
Part of me felt this is a missed opportunity again to show her having the skills that we've seen her have. Show her, fix him. There's all kinds of equipment around. Make her actually repair Bumblebee, replace his parts that were damaged, and he actually comes back to life. So she's actually doing something. So I felt at the end of the movie, Charlie is doing stuff that Memo could have done. She's not
Yeah,
even like this special, uniquely capable person anymore.
it just makes me even more. It just brings up the even bigger question of like, hey, so how did Cybertronians actually die?
Yeah.
So like, I guess they only die when they blow up.
Yeah, exactly. Like every other robot blew up in this film. So, except for Bumblebee, who just died of, shock or sadness or something. I don't know.
He died. There's nothing physically wrong with him. He's dying of a broken heart.
Yeah,
Going full Star Wars style.
exactly.
It just begs the question, like, hey, does Bumblebee just not care about Charlie once he meets Sam?
Yeah, exactly. The person who literally gave him his voice and taught him to speak.
Overall, all these problems that we listed here just really drags us down to that 3-star mark. It's
Yes.
just I can't ignore it overall in order to give this movie a higher score.
Yes. Yeah, I think this is a good place to wrap. Overall, I still think that Bumblebee is far more successful than the latter films from Michael Bay. It understands that they should, at their core, be more of a human story than just action because eventually even Michael Bay could only blow up stuff so much. I like that the action is smaller. Even with the simpler stakes, I think they actually try to do too much. And this is still a well directed film by Travis Knight. Interestingly enough, I don't think the emotional aspect of it, which I really liked about it the first time I watched it, is something that I felt on this rewatch. So it's very interesting. Before, I would have given this film a 3.5 out of 5 stars. And I think that's because all the reasons we brought up now, I still agree with sticking to a 3 stars out of 5. It's a nice story about a girl in her car that is unfortunately betrayed in the ending by a studio that decided to commit to a franchise which people had already grown tired of.
I wouldn't call it Transformers fatigue. It's Michael Bay fatigue.
Yes. That's the thing. That's a very fair point because Transformers still exists in multiple formats, including
Yeah,
cartoons.
exactly. Transformers has existed since like its beginning.
So
It's
yeah, it is
Bay that killed it.
it is Michael Bay fatigue. So that's it for this episode of Movie Postmortem. Don't forget to like and subscribe and give us 5 stars because even bad podcasts deserve a good review. Remember, whether it's good, bad, or just a guilty pleasure, every film deserves a postmortem. Thanks for listening.
And as always, they literally call themselves Decepticons. That doesn't set off any red flags. We'll see you next time.